Quality of life is basically nothing. If you're just laying down with your feet elevated 2, 3 feet up in the air, and that's all the doctor's got pills and tells you to lay down, keep your feet elevated above your heart. Well, try that for about 22 out of 24 hours a day for the last 3 years, and uh, that's no quality of life.
Tom, how did you find carnivore?
Well, believe it or not, I heard it from Michaela Peterson on TV, and when I heard it first, it sounded way, way too good to be true. And I'll be honest with you, she seems quite young, and I didn't really know who she was. I didn't realize even at that in the beginning that it was Dr. Peterson's daughter. But I thought being young, I don't know. The thing sounds crazy to me, just like it sounds crazy to everybody else. But it sat in the back of my head 2 more years before I tried it, like a dummy. What did I have to lose? I don't know. Fear. Fear, I think, is what stops a lot of people. When I started hearing more and more videos, and then I heard her father, Dr. Peterson, who has nothing to lose, or plenty to lose and nothing to gain. I mean, by talking about it. And I thought, wow, I got to really get serious with this. I started digging, found the regular Dr. Mary, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Baker type thing, and I dug in deep. I figured, what do you got to lose?
Right. And so, um, how long have you been on the diet now?
I think today was 231 days.
231 days. What has happened?
Well, let's see. Well, I'm trying to remember what is down 167 pounds, and
167 pounds. That's awesome.
yeah, it's gone, never coming back.
And so, with that 167 pounds, what else has happened? Like, were you a type 2 diabetic before, or did you have other issues that are now under control because of that weight loss?
Well, believe it or not, I don't know why, but I was not a diabetic. I was getting near pre-diabetic, and I took the classes that my doctor. He had to wait about a year to get into the classes, and then the classes are a year long, and then they cut them short because you might have it like once a week for a while, and then every 2 weeks, and then every month. And each and every time people drop out, and after probably 7 months, they just boom, you're done because no more interest. And as it turns out, it's just as well because they would have just taught me 20-year-old garbage anyhow, as I found out later. So I'm really glad that it worked out that way.
And wow, so 167. Potentially you were getting onto pre-diabetes. No worries about that anymore. Um, Anything else happened to you, like in terms of sleep, energy, things like
Oh,
that?
I I feel honestly like I'm on some kind of drug, like some kind of speed. I have so much energy. It's unbelievable. I've been bedridden for about 3 years. I started out with a lot of pain when I was 24 years old. I was run over by a drunk driver on my motorcycle and broke my back, compound fractured leg, several pins in my foot, that kind of thing. I spent 9 full months in a body cast, so I really don't like hospitals. It's no fun going poopy when you're laying down. When they got to tip you up on your side, they put you down, they clean you up, blah, blah, blah. Enemas, oh boy, no good. And then, of course, I didn't realize the food they're giving me in the hospital was making me more constipated. The fleet enemas didn't work. They got these heavy duty ones. They come, it looks like a gallon of paint. And they said, oh, don't worry, we're coming back tomorrow. We got an enema, it'll work. And they brought them in and they let that thing go bam. I mean, I felt sorry for whoever had to clean all that up. It was like an explosion. But, anyways, that led on to many years of pain, suffering. I related most of it to the broken bones. I had already broken that ankle once skydiving before, and I already had the other knee operated from another motorcycle accident. And so I thought that was my pain. But believe it or not, when I went on the carnivore, I would say 90% of my pain is gone, which is a miracle. Nothing short. Couldn't believe it. Right now, I'm working on trying to cut back my pain medicine because why take it? Most of the pain is gone.
When you think about things in terms of your mobility and pain and things like that, what was a day like for you, say 300 days ago as opposed to now? What are the differences between those 2 days?
Well, your prayers at night would be that you don't wake up. You know, it was quality of life is basically nothing if you're just laying down with your feet elevated 2, 3 feet up in the air, and that's all the doctor's got pills and tells you to lay down, keep your feet elevated above your heart. Well, try that for about 22 out of 24 hours a day for the last 3 years, and no, that's no quality of life. And I hope, anybody else that's in any kind of pain, try it. What do you got to lose? Everybody thinks about
Mm.
30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Try it for a week. Have it in the back of your mind. Yeah, I'd like to do it for 30 days or 90 days or whatever, but keep also in mind if anything went bad, I had a heart attack, stroke, or felt something uneasy, well, then I could always quit tomorrow. Could always go back to eating this crap that got me there in the first place, if that's what you'd rather. But I, honest to God, started feeling better within the very first day of eating properly. I know that sounds unbelievable. I wouldn't believe it, but I did. And about a week later, I found myself out in the back shed 7 o'clock in the morning because I'm wide awake and ready to go. I'm working on my lawnmower that my son's had to cut the lawn for the last 3 years. I couldn't do it. And boy, I'll tell you, I love to do it now because I can. Gives me a little bit of exercise. I just joined the YMCA finally. I really wasn't able to do any physical exercise. Losing this weight was just strictly eating correctly. And I was never hungry once. I think one of the things that some people make a mistake, Dr. Berry says, when you eat until you're full, but then you eat just a few more bites until you're comfortably stuffed. And I think some people forget that. And what else I do is I always make sure I do a little bit of each when I eat. I have some red meat, some eggs, bacon, and butter all together at the same time because I think they work together better that way. I know some people like, I'll have my meat now and I'll have my eggs later, that type of thing. I never fasted before in my life. I started, listening to these guys. Well, I'll try it, just see. Again, you could always quit if it don't work. Just eat something, right? As soon as you're hungry, eat. I had no trouble at all fasting. One day I did it the first time. I said, wow, this is easy. Next time I tried 2 days. That was easy. I went 3 days. That was still easy. And four and five. And when I went 5 days fasting, I could have easily gone six, but to be honest, I was just getting a little nervous. It was too easy. And I thought, well, five's enough for now. You know, I'm watching the scale. I don't do any notes. Very simple man, very simple plan. I don't write down calories. I don't do any of that stuff. Well, all I do every morning, try to go in the bathroom before noon, strip down, step on my digital scale about 3 times, make sure it's exactly where it is for today. And I just snap a picture of the scale and I date it just for my own use. So I know some days you go up, some days you go down. Some people say, no, that's not good. Don't do that. Only check it once a week. Well, I like to know. And mostly it's down. I have had days where I went up 5 pounds in one day. Or I've gone down 5 in a day. So who cares? I'm still way down. And, a lot of people say, hey, water weight. 167 pounds. That's more than my wife weighs. I could put her on my shoulders and carry her up the stairs. That's why the stairs were so hard, and that's why I went from the hospital bed, which I got upstairs, to sleeping on a couch downstairs because the stairs were just too dangerous for me.
So what was your starting weight? If you've lost 167 pounds, what were you initially?
345.
345. Wow.
That's how
Okay.
fat I got.
I mean, that's dramatic. So, like, what are people around you saying? Is like, what are are they interested? What did you do?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The people that are closest to you give you the most pushback. Oh, it's crazy, blah, 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 blah. Then they got all kinds of advice. Where were they when I was laying down for 3 years? Where was the advice? There was none, right? Crickets. But, that's just it. I had two different neighbors stop. I was out working. I bought two utility trailers. Not that I needed one, but I decided if I'm able, I like to go back to work. So I bought two cheap old utility trailers that need a lot of work, and I've been out there working on them every day. And I want to start a power washing business that I could do on the ground. I couldn't be up on a roof; my legs are not up to it. But I could do like driveways, sidewalks. So I want to earn some money. I don't like being disabled. So, anyways, the neighbors stopped by and they thought I was new to the neighborhood. I've been here over 25 years. And so we got talking. I said, "No, that's me, but me minus a lot of weight." I said, and then of course he asked, "Well, how the heck did you do that?" He thought I was a different person. And then a couple of weeks ago, I had another neighbor come right over to my house while I was working on one of the trailers. He says, "Hey, what's the secret?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You didn't you didn't tell me how did you do that?" And so I told him, exactly what I did and how. And he shared with me that he's 335 pounds. So I think, well, maybe that has something to do with why he took the courage to walk down and ask a stranger, "How the hell did you do that?" And made me feel really good that a perfect stranger could come up knowing, seeing, and then asking. And I gave him your name, of course, and those my favorite three doctors, and I'm going to check on him in a day or two and see how many of those videos has he watched. How far? We spent about an hour talking, so I know he's very interested. His downside on the carnivore thing was that his wife is um, the regular, heart attack, cholesterol. What about your number? Well, that kind of thing. I tried to ease him, and I told him about the book, about the blood works that Dr. Barry and his assistant there, or whoever wrote that book.
Well, I hope your neighbor tries it out at least. It'll be
I
good to
do too.
see if he does. Yeah, hope the next time you see him walking down, he's looking more sprightly and healthy.
I think
So
I think he was already, I think, pretty well sold on it, or he wouldn't have walked down to ask me. But it's
right,
still, sometimes your husband and wife don't agree on that kind. Of course, every wife's going to
mm,
worry about you.
yeah. So what is a day like for you with eating? How often are you eating, and what meal look like?
Normally, I never eat at the same time twice, and normally, not more than once a day. If I'm hungry, I'll eat twice a day. But what I found, one of my fears was I didn't even know what hunger felt like. I'd never been hungry in my life, to be honest with you. And I thought, that's weird. What's it going to be like? I was scared. Scared of what? I had enough fat for 20 people, but I just was scared, you know. But anyways, yeah, that that was the thing, and once you get over that, once you finally make that decision, then it's pretty easy from there. I knew within the first day I started feeling better. Within a week, I said, "This is not a diet. This is my way of life. I'm never going to consider this a diet." And some people might only need to lose 10 or 15 pounds. For them, that might be a diet. For me, it was basically really a matter of life and death. I didn't want to live like that anymore.
Yeah. Wow. And I mean, your wife must be super happy to see you up and about and moving around and just so much more full of energy now than you were before.
Uh, Well, there's a little funny story there. My wife hadn't eaten any meat in like 7 to 8 years. You know how women tend to jump on all the diets, and I didn't jump on any of those. But she didn't eat any meat for about 7 or 8 years, and I didn't ask her to do this. I figured, no, I'm not ever going to ask her to do it because I don't want to start any trouble. And I kept my mouth shut. I did my thing. She did her thing. After probably a month or month and a half, guess what? She started to eat meat again. And she lost about 20 pounds like that.
Wow.
She feels
Wow.
great. She looks 10 years younger. Everyone at work is telling her how much better she looks. Her family, several of her family are trying it now. Our stepdaughter, she's been doing it. She's having a hard time because she's pregnant, but she's into it. She's got her kids into it. They're learning. Young kids are learning that sugar's bad, and you know it's a pity. But we were misled. When I was a kid, we were taught eat margarine, Crisco. This is it. And my mother was just like every other mother. Oh yeah, jump on that bandwagon because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what good people do. Well, she died of breast cancer, after the second round. I think it had a lot to do with it.
It's terrible that, things like Crisco were even marketed as food products.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Instead of chemical
it's
waste, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, so how you mentioned that you are thinking about doing the work now. You want to be more active and getting into the work, even though you can't stand on the roofs. Just doing it on the
Uh,
ground and whatever. Um, how has your outlook generally changed
oh,
on the future?
to go from hopeless to hopeful to not wanting to be here to wanting to be here. It's just words can't describe it. I wish they could. I can't tell you. The only real word that I think fits is it's a miracle. It's the best kept secret. And just like with anything else, when you start teaching kids from a young age this, they believe it. And that's why there's all this pushback. All these people think, oh, no, you're going to have a heart attack. This is another thing, the heart attack. Let's think about it. Both of my grandfathers died at age 65 of massive heart attacks. All right. And I gave my mother her last shot of morphine when she died. And I can tell you, I watched it. And I'd much rather die of a heart attack than die of cancer any day of the week. So if red meat gives me a heart attack, good deal for me. We're all going to die. What are we really worried about?
The thing about the red meat and the heart attack that they keep wanting to peddle anyway, it's like, yeah, if red meat means a burger and fries, then okay, well, red meat might give you a heart attack. But if red meat is a steak, well, maybe it's a little bit different,
Yeah.
right? Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. The red meat really does. I used to love sausage, and I didn't like bacon. It's reversed. I used to always have scrambled eggs. I heard Dr. Berry say, well, if you overcook food, you're actually cooking away some of the good stuff in there. So I figure, well, if I'm putting in 4 eggs, but I overcook it, it's I'm only getting benefit maybe of 2 or 3. So I started frying them, and what I do now is I cut up my bacon. Take that yellow yolk that I'm not too fond of. I stir it all up with the bacon and put it down together, and I like it like that now. I had some sausage and I didn't like it anymore. It's weird. Weird how your tastes do change.
There's a lot of difference over time to what you like and dislike, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and
and
it's
it can be as much
small.
as smells as well, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, after I lost a lot of weight, I went into the gas station to pay for some gas for the lawnmower, and I walked in that door and I looked to the right and the left and straight. The guy that I got to pay, he's way in the back, but everywhere's around me junk, garbage, stuff I would never eat again. It was everywhere. So I felt like an alien coming in from a UFO, and I landed inside this store and I'm looking around. What is all this garbage? People don't eat that, do they? And I thought, wow, unbelievable.
So you just made me think of something. Do you remember a car called the Jetsons?
Yeah, oh
Yeah. So on the Jetsons, you know, they had the robot as the family made, and then
yeah,
thing came in all the was dehydrated or something, and it was all in a package. And you know, when you walk into the gas station, right, it really feels like, well, this is almost a scene from the Jetsons, right? It's everything you can eat is all in a package and it's brightly colored, and you know,
oh yeah.
it's if
Uh,
the future is convenience, but unhealthy convenience, right?
Yeah. One reason
Mm.
I don't read labels, I know everybody pretty much says read the label, read the label, read the label. If I can't see what it is, I don't want to eat it. You know what I mean? If it's red meat, it's red meat. I don't have to read the ingredients. If it's got anything besides red meat in it, I'm not buying it. That's as simple as that, you know. And what I learned, another thing, I forget from who, probably Dr. Berry, but they can put up to 0.5% of pretty much anything in that stuff they call food. They build it in factories and chemical plants and put UPC codes on it. And they call it food. They sell it to you. They know how to make it taste good, right? So you go back for more and more and more. Thinking like when you go to Walmart, we have a Walmart superstore right down the road. And when I go in there and you look at the shopping carts, these young women and kids, all garbage in the cart. I don't see any healthy food in there at all. And I'm talking a full cart. I'm talking probably $200 or $300 somebody's paying for it. And you know, I don't know. It's just sad because it's not stupidity, it's ignorance. We just didn't know any different. And if you don't know any different, well, you're ignorant. It's some people don't like that word, but I was ignorant. And now I'm
Well,
understanding.
that's right. I mean, what they're doing is they're selling a drug that obviously is a drug, it's addictive, and they're telling you that it's good for you. So,
Yeah,
you know, if they were legally selling speed or whatever and saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's really good for you," you know, you'll get
yeah,
so healthy. You know, if you don't take regular servings of this, then you're likely to experience, heart disease and stuff like that. You go, awesome, it's great. I feel good taking it. I want to take more when I take it, and it's good for me. Awesome.
Hmm.
And that's what when they're putting the brightly colored packages in the shopping cart. That's you know some of what they're
Yeah.
thinking. Oh,
Hmm. Oh yeah.
it's
It's you want to stop and tell everybody, of course you can't.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Do you ever feel like going up to someone and saying, "Come on, man, you could be
I
so much
did.
healthier if you just put this away"?
I did go up and talk to one particular guy that I couldn't help it. I had to because with my legs, I had the last surgeries I had were on the varicose veins, where they would go in by your knee and they go up to about your groin and they cauterize it because the blood goes down, but it won't come back up. And some say it's chronic lymphedema, whatever. But bottom line is, my legs between my knees and my ankles are probably as big as your legs from your knee up. And what happens is then, of course, you get open sores and they don't heal when you're like that. I had plenty of big open sores for a year and a half. Couldn't get them to heal. They gave me all kinds of medicine. I had them wrapping it. I spent $2,000 just having them wrapping it every other day and measuring it. And I didn't touch the wrapping in between. They want to make sure. And that guy, when they wrap, they know if it's been open or not. They do it the same way every day. But anyways, they leak. You use these stretch tubular bandages that they put on. Like if you break an arm or a leg, they slide this thing up and then they put the plaster over it. And so what I use those because it's a light compression, and then I can put like ace bandages over it. And I saw a guy at the post office, and he had larger ones than mine by a lot, and they were leaking in several spots. You could just see soaked right through. And I said, "Hey, buddy, I hate to, don't mean to be rude or anything." He says, "But I see your legs. I know how bad you're hurt." I said, "Mine looked exactly like yours. I wear the exact same things that you got on your legs, and there is a way out of it." And he seemed receptive. I was surprised, and I told him about Dr. Berry. I told him to check it out. Didn't I run into the same guy maybe 2 weeks later at Staples? And I asked him, "Hey, did you do any research?" Yeah, yeah. He goes, I've been watching the Dr. Berry. And I'm thinking, well, hey, that's a start if he's doing that. And I don't know how much that guy weighed, but I know his legs were bigger than mine. And they look just as sore. I mean, I feel terrible for anybody in that kind of pain because I know how it feels and how frustrating it is. That you can't sew it up. There's nothing there to sew, so that's
Wow.
hard.
It's good he was receptive. That's awesome. So even if he didn't get started, at least you've planted the seeds. So maybe in a few months' time or whenever he's going to go, oh, well, nothing else is working. I may as well give it a try.
Hopefully not 2 years like me. I'll be honest. Probably the main reason I didn't try it when I first heard Michaela Peterson is she was young. I figured probably young, idealistic, and who knows. But that's on me. I spent 2 more years laying down for what? I don't know.
It's easy to dismiss things when younger people are talking about them because it kind of like the way carbohydrate works with young people. You're going to go, yeah, you're doing okay now, but later on in life, so it's easier to be a bit dismissive of what they've said. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So what is your message for someone that's maybe they're overweight or they've got issues with their legs or something like that? What would you say? What's your elevator pitch?
I I would ask, how's it working with your doctors and your specialists, and how many years have you been trying this and trying that? And for me, the worst thing I think I went through for so-called treatment was nerve blockage. I don't know if you've had that. They stick these needles in your back and your spine, and then they burn the nerve to kill the nerve. They said, we kill that nerve to kill the pain. Well, I threw up a couple times after that. I mean, the pain was just so intense, and it didn't kill my pain anyway. So but yet I went back and did it maybe a half a dozen times, thinking, well, maybe next time. After a while, I said, no. I finally came to a point in my life where I said, that's it. I'm just going to take pain pills the rest of my life.
It's it's terrible. It gets to that point, really is. Um, yeah.
And it's the same people. That's what I found out too. The same people that brought on all that, the pain pill thing. When I broke my back was 1981. Okay. Back then, they would take somebody like me and they gave me a choice. You want to spend 9 months laying in a full body cast, or do you want to have a spinal fusion? Well, I knew a couple people that had spinal fusions, and neither one had ever worked again. So I said, I'll try the other way. But I don't know.
Tom, I'm so happy to hear that you're doing well, and you know, I mean, it says it all. You've moved from hopeless to hopeful, so that's very
And,
nice
and
to hear.
and I look forward to things. I mean, I couldn't believe it when my wife said she's proud of me. I thought, wow, really? She even went as far as she took money out of her retirement to buy me an e-bike.
That's very kind of your wife to have done that, to get that bike for you.
Yeah, she knows that I want to exercise, but within reason. What I think I can do. And I thought if it's
Yeah.
an e-bike, you pedal what you can, use the battery when you can, and you're out. If I tip over with this thing, I can pick it up. Sure enough, it's not 700 pounds like my real one.
Do you have a way for people to contact you? As far as, do you have an Instagram or a YouTube or anything?
Um, to be honest with you, I've never had any kind of social media, but I just last week, since I knew this was coming, I did open up a new email address just for this. I called it
Oh,
Doubting Thomas US
mm,
at gmail.com.
okay.
And I'll try to put something together also. If there's anybody, if there's any people that see a demand or need or questions, if I can help anybody, I'll be glad to.
Well, I'm really happy to hear your story, Tom, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Dave.